Good morning, my name is Ken, and today I would like to talk about alcohol. I'd like to talk about the role it has in my life, perhaps in your life. I'll give some examples so maybe you can relate, and to see whether it's worthwhile to have it in your life to a significant extent. So I'll start at the beginning. My relationship with alcohol started when I was about, I think, 13 or 14 years old, living in Belgium in my parents' house. I snatched one of the cans that was lukewarm in the basement, not in the fridge. It was like this half-liter cheap-ass German beer from Aldi, and tried it, hated it. I think it was maybe 2 years later or so that I got curious again with some friends of mine. And in Belgium, you're not supposed to be able to buy alcohol. I think back then, I mean, it might have been possible, but we were trying to play it safe. So we went with the lowest concentration of alcohol, supposedly bottles that we were buying as a gift for our parents. So they were these like apple cider bottles with only 1.5% or something alcohol in them. So my friend and I, we were two friends, and we bought these, I think 2 bottles each of like 1 liter or so. That was a lot of liquid, but we drank it all. So that was my first experience of being drunk. I guess, yeah, you could say I was pretty drunk, and I really liked it. I loved the feeling of, how do you say, just loosening up and not being in your head and having fun, doing crazy things. I just, gave me energy, gave me a certain sense of, I don't know if euphoria, but certainly made me happy. So from there, I would, continue. I mean, it wasn't that regular for me, but in college, my college years, in the weekends, usually, I think every other weekend or sometimes every weekend, depending on if stuff was going on. I think one of my friends and I were perhaps the worst offenders. Like, it's not like we drank all the time, but when we would go out, we would get like hammered. I mean, everyone was getting pretty plastered, but my friend and I were usually the ones that would end up on the floor of the bar wrestling, or the next day not having our coat or our bike, things like that. I remember one time I was trying to get him home, and he started doing like snow angels somewhere, and I couldn't get him onto his bike. For me also, we'd usually go with our bikes to the city and buy, like, he had a sweet tooth as well. We would buy a bottle of Coca-Cola and mix it with a bottle of one of the sweetest things you can find, di Saronno. It's like an Italian liquor, dessert liquor, and we would just, go balls to the wall on sugar and alcohol. So yeah, it was fun at the time. Of course, the aftermath sometimes wasn't as much. I have a bunch of stories of, I'll make, maybe if people are interested, I might make a separate video just with some of the stories of everything that happened. Let me know in the comments if you want to know. But yeah, let's say, luckily I was spared like any major incidents until later. But I mean, there were consequences, of course, to drinking this much. And this is kind of how I drank, not even knowing that the definition of binge drinking is, like, I knew I was binge drinking then, but I didn't know the binge drinking limit is supposedly 5 units of alcohol. Had I known that, I might have tried to adjust a little earlier. So yeah, throughout college, I guess that's how it went. Lots of partying, and when I would go to a bar or a club or something, I felt like I needed alcohol to have fun. Otherwise, it just, it'd be boring, and especially if other people are drinking heavily, then you have to drink in order just to not be annoyed. People tend to get repetitive and loud and just a little bit too, how do you say, it's just annoying, basically, is the word, I guess. So later on, as I got more into, I mean, I've always tried to be healthy on the other side. Like I would drink, but then I'd like catch up on sports and like try to eat healthy. There were periods when I would stop drinking for like 6 months just to test myself, and that'd be fine. But I'd always kind of like regress. At some point, I'd find myself drinking too much, and I would always implement these limits. You know, the next morning, I would say, okay, I'm gonna stop drinking more than, I think the first limit I set was like 10 units of alcohol, or at first I didn't have units, I just had drinks, but then you can get like, you know, a drink might be a beer, or a drink might be like a double shot of hard liquor, or in a cocktail, you never know what they're putting in, right? So when I moved to Mexico, I also had a period where we do these house parties, and my house was always chock full of alcohol, and we play these like drinking games. So with these games, there's a lot of fun. You know, we'd end up in the jacuzzi on the rooftop and play like Jenga with like challenges written on them as well, or play like Truth or Dare with, you know, drinking challenges, drinking games. It was a lot of fun. But you know, it's impossible to keep track of your drinks that way if you're taking like these little shots from this mixer that usually has no idea how much alcohol you're consuming. And yeah, there were a few mornings that I woke up and I was like, oh my god, what did I do now, you know? So at times I wondered if it was worth it, you know. Hold on. And despite the fact that it was usually fun, usually good stories, good memories, the things that I remember anyway, the cost of, you know, knowing that it's doing harm to your body, to your memory, to your health overall, and especially a few mornings I woke up and felt embarrassed about just how much I drank, or things that I did, or not being sure of what I had even done, and if like people made videos, and who knows what kind of stuff had gone on. Like I didn't like that feeling of not remembering everything that you might have done. Usually I'd remember most of the night, but like there'd be bits and pieces missing. And yeah, I just don't think that, you know, especially as you get older, you can maybe do that for a while when you're really young and get away with it, but I just don't think it's suitable, or you can't really justify the risk and the consequences for your health anymore. So I lowered my limits over time, and things like calmed down a bit naturally as well. You know, as you grow older, you get a bit more responsible. My friend groups changed. I had some friends before that, you know, you look away and they've refilled your glass. It'd be like very motivating, because they like drinking, they motivate you to drink as well. So kind of like when friend groups changed, I calmed down a bit. Also when I have a girlfriend, you know, because oftentimes I think I would drink when going out to like bars or clubs. You know, you drink first of all not to be bored, but also to like, you know, greasing the social wheels a little bit. And when I'm in a relationship, I generally I prefer to stay home a lot more often. I don't know if that's a common thing, but I just often don't see the point of going to a loud place and like having to go there and buy overpriced drinks sometimes, and do all of that when you can just stay home cozy in bed and watch something or play a calm game. Or yeah, it's just not worth the trade-off sometimes. When I moved to Dubai, I drank even less because I suppose it's just not as prominent here. Like first of all, I moved and I didn't buy as many bottles of alcohol for a collection, and I didn't have those groups of friends with whom I'd go organize parties and stuff like that. So here I got into a community of CrossFitters and made other friends that are like into slacklining and the friendships weren't about drinking, wasn't like the main social event anymore. It was either sports or just going places, having fun in different ways. And I guess that helps a lot, the setting, the friends, the people that you surround yourself with. If they're all heavy drinkers and that's how you met each other and that's what you do to socialize, it's going to be a lot more difficult to cut down on your drinking than if you find circles where people have different priorities. They want to get fitter, or they want to, let's say, they're into business and they want to focus on making money, although business settings sometimes come with intense parties as well. But yeah, here it wasn't such a problem. Like for a very long time, I didn't get anywhere near I didn't feel like I had any issues. And so there was one incident where I was like, not in the best place with my girlfriend, and she kind of wanted to get shit-faced one night to see if it might, I don't know, reset things or... And that night, since it was with a group of people that were like really heavy to drinking, there were like free cocktails. And yeah, I ended up drinking way more. Once I'm over, say, six units, my brakes do not function properly anymore. That's not that much, that's like, it's not to say that's every time, but I think beyond that limit, or let's say, at 5 it starts getting risky, so like half a bottle of wine maybe, it starts getting risky that I don't really, that I get too tempted to just drink more to see what happens basically, and I forget everything I've learned in the past. And I don't think about the next day too much, and I stop counting even. So yeah, that happened one time, and then I said like, okay, I'm not gonna drink for a month and maybe impose like some kind of penalty, in the sense that, but it's just based on I wouldn't drink at all for like say a month or two. But yeah, now recently it happened once again, and there was no good reason for it. I was having fun at the start of the event, like it was a yacht party, and I was talking to people like it wasn't like I needed alcohol in order to socialize. In fact, things were going great, even though the friend that I was supposed to go with, he didn't show up because he was hungover. But I just started talking to some people, met some really interesting crowd, interesting groups of people. I was talking to some girls also. I was trying to get some people to join because I'd been invited to a beach club with free bottle service afterwards. So I was trying to see, okay, who's going to join, since my friend wasn't there. And a few people already signed up, so everything was great. And for whatever reason, I stopped counting drinks once I reached a certain threshold and just kept on going. And then afterward, when we did go to the beach club, they put a bottle of vodka on the table, and I don't want to go to waste, so I just keep on drinking. And yeah, the next morning I felt like shit. I felt nauseous all morning, felt embarrassed that I remembered everything, but I feel like I made a bit of a fool out of myself by, just being visibly drunk. And at my age, 37, I don't think it's fitting, I should have learned my lesson by now. So I'm deciding right now that was my very last hangover. I'm not going to drink more than 1 glass of alcohol again in one day, because to me it's simply not worth it. I was first toying with the idea, should I do this, for 2025, like should I set a certain time limit and make it a goal? But I've noticed in past behavior that I always kind of generally do that successfully. Like I complete my intention, and then I kind of gradually loosen my restrictions a bit, thinking, oh, everything's fine. But after maybe a year, like say 6 months or a year, it'll happen again where, my limit's at 4 or 6, and I think, everything's fine, and then I spend one night just going way overboard. And I just don't want that anymore. I don't want any hangovers. I don't need any more crazy drunk stories at my age. I don't want to risk actually doing stupid, because yesterday I was talking to this girl who said she used to be a heavy drinker, and she hurt her back pretty bad when like, she fell on a boat, and that reminded me of the time when it was my birthday and I was doing drunk parkour, and I jumped on this inflatable ball that they buried in the beach and fell on my back, and for the next 6 months I couldn't sit down for more than 10 minutes without back pain. And right now I still have like a pretty weak back, and I don't know if that's related to that one drunken night. So I decided that even though it's a little bit of a daunting decision to say like I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, I'm deciding it right now. I don't want to be beholden to alcohol. I don't want to repeat that pattern every single year, say once or twice, where I have to reset my limits and go like, okay, reevaluate, and just the same thing happening all over again. I don't want to be an alcoholic in any sense of the word. I don't want to have any addiction or any problem. So I'm defining myself right now basically as, a limited social drinker, or whatever you want to call it, a light drinker. And I'm setting the consequence that if I break that promise to myself, I'll be donating $1,000 to Alcoholics Anonymous, or what's it called, AA. So yeah, I invite my family members, my friends, you as a viewer, if you ever come across, if you see me drunk, tell me to make that donation. Maybe it'll be in the form of a regular donation or a cryptocurrency. I have this idea that I would like to launch at some point for cryptocurrency-based support systems. But yeah, for now, if I don't have that set up, don't take any excuses. It has to be a bank transfer or credit card payment that next day to the charity. So I'm hoping I'm putting this online, not just to hold myself accountable, but also in case, if you have a doubtful relationship with alcohol, if you ever find yourself making excuses, lying to yourself, feeling embarrassed about what you did previous nights when you were drinking, you might want to reconsider your relationship with alcohol as well, and decide, like, is this truly something that is worth having in your life? Like, what are really the benefits? I think it's a very short list if you compare it to the potential downsides, liver damage, possible addiction, memory issues, cognitive issues, weight gain or weight loss, or, overall health issues, cancer. It's related to cancer or correlated. So yeah, think about it long and hard, and if I convince one other person to take this step and improve their lives in this way, then I think this upload, the time I'm taking now to talk about this, upload this, would have been well worth it. So if you do take that step, please comment down below, and yeah, I welcome you to this journey with me. So all right, that's about all I have to say. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in more content like this, subscribe, and catch you later.